The Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which just ended, before we recorded our podcast last week. We would have done this as our topic last week, but it was an anniversary podcast for the podcast itself, so we did an Advocates segment, and that pushed Night of the Seven Kingdoms to this week. So that's going to be our main topic tonight. We've also got an On Beat segment. We're going to go over 5 trailers in, and we're going to start things off with our On the Horizon segment. On the Horizon is where we talk about what's coming up the next week or so, and we've got a few things to go over this week. Rooster, which is a comedy. It stars Steve Carell. He's helping out his professor daughter who's having some issues with some kind of thing or whatever. And I guess he's an author, and he has a character named the Rooster or something, and everybody starts thinking that he's like his character, so all the kids like him at the school and stuff. But I don't know. It's a dramedy kind of thing coming to HBO and HBO Max on Sunday, March 8th. And like I said, Steve Carell. One Piece Season 2 is coming on Tuesday, March 10th to Netflix. Sunny Nights, which we're going to talk about a little bit later because we got a trailer for it, is an Australian series that stars Will Forte and Darcy Carden. That's coming on Wednesday, March 11th to Hulu. We'll talk about that more when we get to the trailer segment. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake is coming on Thursday, March 12th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. So we're kind of in survival horror season. That used to be October, but now it's earlier in the year. Got RE9 last month, and now we got Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake this month. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, which is kind of like a Left 4 Dead style shooter, is coming on Thursday, March 12th to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is coming on Friday, March 13th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. The Gates, which is, it seems like it might be James Van Der Beek's last movie after he sadly passed away recently. I think he has another project that he was working on or something, but I think it was a TV show. So this should be his last movie, I believe. And that's coming on Friday, March 13th to theaters. And Undertone, which is a new horror movie. It's about a haunted sound file and a podcast that's investigating it, and then bad stuff starts happening. That's coming on Friday, March 13th to theaters. That is it for our On the Horizon segment, and now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat. This week on Beat, we've just got trailers. We got 5 that we picked, and we're going to be going over those, starting with Sunny Nights, which I mentioned earlier. That's the one with Will Forte and Darcy Carden. They're trying to open up a spray tan business in Australia, and they end up somehow getting involved with organized crime.
Yeah.
So it's a comedy, fish out of water comedy, where it's these Americans trying to open a business in Australia. They get tied up in Australian organized crime, and
it looks like a dark comedy.
Yeah, seems to be. It looks good. We got Mike and Nick and Alice. This is a new movie with Vince Vaughn and Cyclops from X-Men. As I'll always refer to him because for some reason his name just always leaves my memory the second I need to refer to him. But yeah, this is it's a weird time travel action comedy.
Yeah, it looks really fun. I guess Vince Vaughn goes back in time to try to stop himself from doing whatever, undefined.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's not going to explain this. But it looks like things get crazy in the most wonderfully comedic way possible.
Yeah. It's funny because I was kind of sold on it watching the trailer before the time travel element even came into play. And that tells me okay, it's just a good comedy even
just
before
at
the
the
time
beginning,
travel element.
when Vince Vaughn is explaining chloroform, it's
yeah.
I'm already entertained. I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah.
But I'm already okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's got the the one guy.
James Marsden?
Was that James Marsden? Okay, yeah, it is James Marsden. So,
Stephen Root's also in this, and Ben Schwartz.
Oh my god, it's funny because like...
And Keith David, he's like popping up in everything.
It's funny because like that's a Sonic the Hedgehog reunion, because James Marsden and Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic.
Always good to see Stephen Root too, so.
Stephen Root is a national treasure. He's like one of the best character actors.
Ooh, you know who's also in this? I'm just looking online. Jimmy Tatro, who you wouldn't probably know by name, but he was like the bully character that was accused of drawing all the dicks on the cars in American Vandal.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So he's
this guy's a great cast. It looks hilarious. Yeah, I'm down for this.
Yeah, like I said, it's always a good thing when you have something that's high concept because there's like time travel and stuff involved. But like it's already funny before any of that even comes into play. So yeah. Like you're watching the trailer and it's like already funny and they haven't even introduced like the main like trick of the movie, you know?
Yeah, that's always a good sign, especially like for a trailer.
Yeah. Next we got a trailer for Mermaid, which is kind of strange. Another one, great cast.
I hate when movies have generic words for titles though, because it makes like so hard to Google.
Yeah.
Because like I'm trying to like pull up the name of the main actor in this. Johnny Pemberton. That's the dude. Yeah, Johnny Pemberton, which we know best from Fallout, the TV series. He's hilarious. Dude is hilarious. And this looks like an offbeat comedy about a man in Florida. He's Florida man. This takes place in Florida. I guess he finds a mermaid in captivity, or like that there's a mermaid in captivity and he becomes obsessed with it. And he becomes obsessed with trying to save it. Robert Patrick is also in this.
Yeah. Like I said, good cast again.
Yeah.
Always good to see Robert Patrick and stuff. He was amazing in Peacemaker. So he's still got it. Yeah. It looks interesting.
In this, apparently.
Like I mentioned to you before we started the podcast, it's interesting how like little of the mermaid they're showing.
Yes.
You kind of just get some shots from behind or something, you know, like some vague shots. But the mermaid itself is not a character in the story that we're seeing yet in the trailer at all. We get no dialogue from it. We don't see her face, anything. It's none of that's there. It's all about like around the mermaid, but not really focusing on the mermaid itself, which I think is kind of interesting, like an interesting way of presenting it, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very interesting.
I'm happy to see Pemberton get like a starring role in something, you know?
Yeah, getting a lead role. That's pretty big. I think like
he's great in Fallout. I've seen him in a lot of other stuff too, like comedies, like throughout the last decade or so. He's been on a lot of like TV shows and stuff. So it's good to see him kind of get his own thing.
Oh yeah, because like I think this is like his first starring role.
I mean that makes sense to me. I don't think I've seen him in anything where he's anything but support.
Yeah, I'm looking at his like IMDb and yeah, he doesn't seem to have like any major like starring roles in anything. He's always like a supporting character, like a guest character in other projects. So like yeah, this is his first big lead movie. So yeah, hopefully it's successful for him.
Yeah. Hopefully it's good too.
yeah, hopefully it's good. Yeah.
Because I remember I was excited for Charlie Day's movie, and that was
that was disappointing. Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah, we finally got a trailer for the new Scary Movie, which is just being titled Scary Movie.
Yes, this one is. There's a lot of mixed opinions on this, especially for like the humor. They're definitely going for a very crass, lowbrow humor. I know a lot of disappointment was made because like there's a pretty lazy pronoun joke at the beginning of the trailer, which is strange because Marlon Wayans, he has a trans son. He's been like a big outspoken advocate for LGBTQ. Oh my god, I hate my mouth. Why can't I say letters?
Well, LGB2 was the sequel to the original LG.
Yeah, he's been a vocal supporter of gay and trans rights, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it's kind of like struck me as odd for that reason. They would go with that.
I mean, it is just a trailer, so we might be getting just like a piece of the joke.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Like, I think people are comparing this to the other Scary Movie movies, and it's like, you need to be comparing this to the Scary Movie trailers, because it's just a trailer. We don't know what they're showing. They're picking things to show us, and trailers for comedies, they pick the things that are most like upfront. You know, a girl trying to shove a dildo into Ghostface's ass is something you can show very quickly for a few seconds and the point gets across, you know?
Yeah.
A complex, like, meta running joke throughout the movie, you're not going to be able to throw in a trailer. It's not going to fit.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just want to bring that up and get that aside because, like, that was a big point of contention. Mm-hmm. But one thing, like, I noticed in this trailer is, like, it's obviously it's showing off, like, a lot of the parodies, a lot of the movies that they're parodying. But
that's another complaint I've seen is a lot of people talking about how it's just references.
Here's
and I'm
the
like,
thing.
what is a trailer? You know?
Yeah, it's a trailer. Here's the thing. What struck me, and I've watched this trailer several times now, is I don't think they're really showing very much. Yeah. I don't think they're showing, like, some jokes, but, like, they're, like, just very quick, snappy. I don't think they're showing, like, very much of this movie at all. I think, like, there's a whole lot that you are not seeing in this trailer.
I think the purpose of this trailer is to remind people about this franchise. That's why they straight up use the song, like, guess who's back, you know? And then they have, like, the Ghostface reveal scene. And then it's like, oh, remember these characters? Oh, this is the guy who's gay and, like, is always, like, acting straight, but he's gay and stuff. So you have to have a scene where you introduce that because it's a funny mechanic. And we'll just kind of parody Sinners a little bit with that scene. And then it's like, oh, okay, remember the two main leads? You have, like, Anna Faris's character and the other girl, and we're going to show where they are in their stages of life. And, you know, now Anna Faris's character, she's like a Republican, so she's racist. So we're going to put in the joke about that.
And she's also like dressed up like Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween reboots.
Yeah. Like they're kind of hitting us with the low dangling fruit, but that doesn't mean that that's what the movie is. That just means that that's what they're trying to highlight. I think they're just trying to show us the pieces. They're saying that's why they're showing so many references in the trailer, because they're showing, well, what are we going to be making fun of?
They're bringing back all the hits, is what they're saying. You know, like all the stuff from like the first two scary movies is back.
Yeah, and all the like references to modern horror movies that you saw in there and stuff. That's all just to say these are the things we're making fun of. Like that's why they showed so many references, because they're going like, yes, we're going to cover Sinners. Yes, we're going to cover Megan. Yes, we're going to cover like, you know, like weapons. There's like a weapons running scene in there, you know? They're showing that stuff, I think, less because that's the joke or like that's the main joke from those scenes, but just because it's a trailer and they're telling us what they're covering.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know. This movie could just be a shitty disaster. We don't know.
We don't know. It's like I'm not casting judgment here. I'm not like white knighting for this movie like already being like, oh, this is like a masterpiece. How can you not see that? I'm just saying like, I don't know, for me, I would like to see more.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like I said, this is a parody movie.
Yeah.
And this is just a trailer for it. It's the first trailer for it. All they're really doing is they're giving you the beats. They're showing you who's there. They're reminding you of the characters. They're reminding you of the premise. And then they're showing you what they're going to be parodying. And like, it's very effectual in that sense, because it's like, it's giving you all the pieces, saying these are the things we're covering. That doesn't mean that's the limits to the humor of this movie or something. You know, like I said, you can't show like a long running gag that would happen throughout the movie in a trailer. It wouldn't work, you know? So like, of all the stuff we're gonna get is going to be the low hanging fruit. And that's how it always is for like, you know, spoof movies. Like the new Naked Gun movie, like all the spoof stuff that we saw was all like the low hanging fruit stuff, you know? Because that's what you can show very quickly.
That's what you can like rapid fire off in a trailer, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So the more complex running gags and things like that, they can't show those in a trailer. They wouldn't work in a trailer. So that's something you'd have to see the movie to see if it actually holds up and stuff. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. We don't know, but it's just, I think it's early to judge it. Some people are very quick to jump on and go like, oh, this looks like trash or something. Too many references. And it's like, well, it's a trailer.
Yeah, it's a trailer. The trailer is definitely like going to front load the references, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to see what the actual movie turns out to be, but scary movie. I mean, I think it looks funny.
Yeah, I think it looks funny. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have like super high expectations. I expect this to be better than the really, really bad run of spoof movies we got after the scary movies, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
I expect this to be more in the vein of like the original two scary movies and like not another teen movie and stuff like that, and less in the vein of like comic book movie or, God, what was the one that was spoofing 300, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be better than those, but I have pretty low expectations going in, and I'm hoping hoping they'll be exceeded. But we'll check back in on that when it's out.
This is an unpopular opinion, but I did like Scary Movie 3. I thought that was...
I don't think I even saw it. I think I watched only the first two. Is 3 when Charlie Sheen joined?
Yeah, 3 is when Charlie Sheen joined the cast. That was when he first joined the cast.
And he was in it pretty much after, from that point on, like in all of them, I think.
David Zucker directed it, actually.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I think like after Scary Movie 3, that it was like those two guys who made like all the stupid fucking, superhero movie and stuff. I think they took over like after 3. So 4 and 5 were them, and those movies completely sucked ass.
Yeah, but that's Scary Movie. And the last trailer we're going to go over is Lanterns. We got like a small teaser for it, and before we had like HBO did that one of those videos where it's like, oh, this is what we have coming up in the next year, like they did last year, where we got like just the scene where they're in the car and Hal Jordan jumps out of the car. Like we've gotten that scene before. I think that's basically all we've seen.
Yeah, that's all we've seen. Like we got teaser. This is like an actual trailer that gives us like more of an idea, although it doesn't like explain what's going on, but it gives us like a better look at these characters.
I think more than anything, it gave us the tone.
Yeah,
because they kept referring to this movie or this show as being kind of like True Detective, but with Green Lanterns. Well, and this is like this trailer like showed that, you know?
Yeah, it is like basically True Detective with Green Lanterns.
Yeah, that's what this trailer really accomplished. It's like, okay, we've been told this is like True Detective. We watch the trailer and we see it's like True Detective.
It's funny because like Kyle Chandler's playing like Hal Jordan with this real like Southern accent thing. Like in my headspace, like I never pictured Hal Jordan with a Southern accent.
Pictured him with a Canadian accent?
Yeah, Canadian accent.
Yeah, for some reason he sounds just like Deadpool in my head.
Yeah, it sounds just like Sounds just like Ryan Reynolds. For some reason I thought Hal Jordan sounded like Gilbert Gottfried.
I'm here at the Lanterns Corps.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really cool. It's just showing basically the heavy focus is on the interplay between Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
Hal Jordan kind of being a bit of an asshole.
Yeah, being a bit of an asshole, yeah.
It kind of has a similar dynamic to like the F1 movie that just came out last year with like where Brad Pitt was like the older guy and then they had like the young hot shot and they were like bumping heads. It's like you got the young hot shot and you got the old guy that's kind of doesn't want to give up the crown, you know, kind of thing. And that's kind of what they're showing here. Like it very much reminded me of that dynamic.
Oh yeah.
And then of course the True Detective vibes are there too. You know, the small town, weird happenings, people not wanting to help, you know, in the small town, like being reluctant to give information and you know, the police department there not really being helpful, like all that kind of stuff. Those True Detective vibes are all there.
Yeah, True Detective vibes are all there. It's funny, man, like Hal Jordan, like really being an asshole at the end of the trailer too. Jon Stewart asks him like, oh, do you ever talk to any of the other lanterns? And he just says, I'm the only human lantern. The rest are aliens and one's a freaking squirrel. And I'm like thinking, oh man, is Guy Gardner just like fucking dirt to you? Like,
yes.
You're the only human lantern?
Yeah, that's funny because Guy Gardner is in the show.
Yeah, we know that, yeah. Nathan Fillion has said like he has film scenes for lanterns. So like, yeah.
Yeah, that is going to come into play.
That's going to come into play. But it's really funny they reference the squirrel Green Lantern.
Yeah. One of them's a fucking squirrel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because like they really like downplay all the fantastical elements of it. Like you don't see a lot of it. There's one shot where Hal Jordan does propel himself into the sky, but that's about it.
And we see some shots where it precedes what would be a fantastical element. We see some shots where he's sticking out his hand with his ring on it, and it's presumably something Green Lantern-y is about to happen.
Yeah,
but that's all we see is him sticking his hand out, you know?
Yeah, it cuts away. We don't see them in the suits. We see the suit, we don't see them wearing it.
It's in like a closet, yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not CG.
So for most of the trailer, like it's really grounded. Again, it's really interesting, the tone of this.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. It comes out in August.
Yeah, James Gunn's been kind of raving about it, you know? I mean, that's his job, so of course he's going to.
Yeah.
But he has been raving about it for a while. James Gunn is going to come out there and say, oh, we got this piece of shit we made. Yeah.
Oh, well. Nothing you do except release it.
Yeah. He sounds positive about it. Like I said, he has to be positive about it, but he sounds genuinely positive about it, I would say.
Yeah, I would believe he's genuinely excited about Yeah.
Yeah, and like we've mentioned before, Damon Lindelof is acting as showrunner on this, which is great news for me as like a huge fan of that guy. So yeah, I'm excited to see Lanterns later this year.
Nice. Yeah, and me too.
That is it for our On Beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week for Full Spoilers, we are talking about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. As I mentioned, we just finished this show in time for last week's podcast, but didn't do it last week because we were doing an Advocates of Great Entertainment like we do every 25 episodes. So now we're getting into that. Of course, everybody should know by now, this is based on the books by George R.R. Martin, and the show is run by Ira Parker, who worked as a producer and writer on House of the Dragon. I don't think he worked on Game of Thrones, I'm not sure, but I think he was a producer and in the writer's room for House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And I think this is a showrunner.
Yeah, but he was picked by George R.R. Martin to showrun this. I guess he managed to strike up a good rapport with George, he was selected by HBO ultimately, but George recommended him.
George gave his stamp of approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as we know, they're getting along. So
yeah. So this is it's a Game of Thrones spinoff. It's in the universe. It's based on a series of novellas, short novels, very short novels. They're like 100 pages each, I think, or something. That are these little bespoke adventures of these two characters that are kind of on the ground level. It's kind of like, remember when we got all the Netflix Marvel shows and they were being advertised as this is street level Marvel. This is kind of like street level Game of Thrones.
Street level Game of Thrones. This is singularly focused on two characters, so it's not these sprawling dramas that have these huge casts that you're following. This isn't like Game of Thrones where you're following multiple protagonists.
40 characters who all have a name that's one letter apart.
That's one letter apart that everybody's got a viewpoint, so you're switching between 5 different storylines. Even House of the Dragon, you got all these storylines happening.
You got the two factions that it's kind of splitting its time between in House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it's it's time between. This is squarely focused on two main characters and what they are doing and getting up to in the moment. And really it's just the smaller focus because the focus of this is Dunk and Egg, and it's Dunk trying to enter the list in a tournament that's being held at Ashford Meadows. It's a real simple story. He's attempting to get in the list to prove himself as a knight. He's a hedge knight of very questionable knighthood. We come to find out it's not certain that he was ever even knighted. He claims to have been. He may be lying about that.
There's a question of that throughout the series. There's kind of a question that's lingering in the background of whether or not he was knighted. The end kind of leans you towards probably not.
Yeah.
It doesn't 100% prove it.
Doesn't
one
100%.
Way or the other, but
it leans that way.
Heavily leans you in the direction of probably not.
Probably not. And there is a scene where he has to knight a friend, because a friend asks him to knight him so he can help him. And he's struggling to do it because he can't remember, he doesn't know the proper words.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another clue.
I think it's more than just not knowing the words. I think it's he feels like a fraud or something. He's really struggling with the idea of knighting him.
Oh yeah, but he genuinely can't bring up the words.
Yeah. That's definitely, they play back on that when they do the flashback in that same episode.
Yeah.
Afterwards, where they reveal that, they have a whole moment where they talk about saying words over a dead knight.
Yeah.
In the flashback, and that's they're playing on the fact that he doesn't know words and meaning in that occasion, but also otherwise,
So he's trying to prove himself, and he's going around this tournament, and then in the meantime, he meets this girl, he develops a thing for her, and then she gets into trouble with a Targaryen prince. He attacks that prince, and then that leads to him getting involved in having to survive a trial of the 7.
A 7-on-7 trial by combat.
Yeah, 7-on-7 trial by combat. That is the boilerplate plot of the show. It's a very simple, straightforward story, right? And it's 6 episodes, 30 minutes. But it's really I want to say this is probably some of the best Thrones content ever. This is
it's also a huge palate. It's also a huge palate cleanser because it's very different tonally from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. It's still in that world, so it still feels a part of it. But like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, I think that's the problem, is that both of those shows are very much about the nobles. It's very much like, oh, here's the high houses and their machinations and schemes, and this is how they fight each other and cause these conflicts, and we're seeing everything from the perspective of these like highborn people that don't give a shit about the people beneath them. First shot of this show is a fucking dead hedge knight and his squire burying him under a tree with nobody else around.
Yeah.
That's like the polar opposite of the tone of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, which both have that political machination.
I don't think Arlen was a hedge knight. He was a knight.
Well, hedge knights are knights. Like he was a hedge knight because he didn't have a house or he didn't have land or anything. He traveled.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, but that's how the show starts. And literally they even do like a swell up, like they're gonna go into the theme, like the main Game of Thrones theme, and it's almost like a meta joke, because when House of the Dragon premiered and it still used the same theme, some people, including myself, were kind of like a little annoyed. It's like, oh, come on, just do something a little different, you know? Like, just get a different theme, even if it sounds a little similar or something. Do something a little different just to kind of differentiate the shows. And they really didn't. But in Night of the Seven Kingdoms, it starts going up with the swell, you start hearing the like the da 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 da, and then it just cuts to Dunk shitting.
Oh, okay. Okay, I looked up. Yeah, hedge knight is just a wandering knight with no master, so they're not employed by a house.
So they're the Westerosi equivalent of like a Ronin.
Yeah, they're Ronin, basically. They have to bounce around, like, seek employment from, like, various houses and lords.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Arlen was a hedge knight. Okay.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
It's so tonally different, the show, so it acts like a really good palate cleanser, because a lot of people were upset with season 2. I was a little, like, bored, I think, through, like, about half of season 2. It was, like, kind of boring.
Like, the stuff with, like, Damon and Harrenhal, like, wasn't that interesting. Yeah, it's like...
just went on way too far.
Yeah, it went on way too long. It's like, yeah, you could have this, like, half the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and season 1 had some of the issues just because it was following up Game of Thrones with kind of more of the same, you know? It's very, very similar. And so Hedge Knight, or like, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, really does feel like a palate cleanser. Because it comes in, it's got a lighter tone, it's focusing more on, like, low-born characters. The episodes are short, they're short and sweet, they're very quick. There's just, like, a whole different feel to the show. And that, like, really just, like I said, acts as a palate cleanser. It actually has made me more excited for House of the Dragon Season 3 than the end of House of the Dragon Season 2 did. Because it kind of gave me a little bit of relief.
Right.
Know?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I got some Hedge Knight action, now I can jump back into the political scheming, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's interesting about this, like, tonally, because I think there was, like, a worry that this was going to be far too comedic, like, this is going to be, like, almost, like, parody in its tone, and it's really not. It's really, like, it does get, like, serious. We're not dealing with, like, the political machinations anymore, but this gets, like, very serious and brutal, especially towards the end. Like, it is, like, very much still Westeros.
The thing is, like, from the first moment I saw the very first trailer for this show, the very first teaser, and then as we got, like, trailers for it, the way I referred to the show, I think, is the most accurate way you could possibly refer to the show. And that's it's a Knight's Tale in Westeros.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. And Knight's Tale got darker, too, as it went on. Like, as, like, you started getting into some of the machinations that they ended up being caught up in, even if they weren't directly contributing to them. And all that kind of stuff started coming out in A Knight's Tale too, and that's really what the tone is here. So if you've ever seen A Knight's Tale, the movie with like Heath Ledger, you know, and Robert Baratheon's in that movie too, from Game of Thrones, that's where people like kind of knew him from. When he was cast as Robert Baratheon, they were like, all the pictures of him were from A Knight's Tale that they were showing, because they were trying to get pictures of him where he looked period appropriate, kind of, you know? So it's kind of funny that it plays back that way, but yeah, this is A Knight's Tale in Westeros, and that's perfect. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I loved every bit of it. I loved a lot of the characters in it. The characters just in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, there are some characters that you're just quickly grow attached to. Tyrion's a perfect example. Arya's a perfect example. They're characters that, like, Arya's so, like, she just wants to be something that she's not supposed to be, you know? And so you grow attached to her because you're rooting for her to be recognized in her own way and not have to just be another lady that's not her. And then Tyrion, he's this kind of misfit, and he's treated very poorly, but he's very smart, and he's funny, and like, so you root for him because of that. Because you're like, this is a smart, clever character, and he's funny, and I like him.
And he has empathy, too, you know?
Yeah. And so you grow attached to these characters. You could say Jon Snow, too, is just because he's this very, like, humble character. And so you have these kind of some characters like that. You get into, like, House of the Dragon, and there really is, like, nobody like that.
Yeah,
everybody's involved in the machinations. Everybody's kind of an asshole. Even the characters you like are kind of fucking assholes.
Yeah, even the characters who are supposed to be the protagonists are, like, they're in it for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go into, like, a Hedge Knight, and instantly there's, like, so many likable characters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, first of all, like, Sir Duncan, he just wants to be respected. He wants to be a knight because he wants to be respected. You know, he wants to be somebody people look up to. And he's very, like, humble about it. He's very unassuming. There's a scene, like, where he's asking these women, he's asking them, like, questions about, like, where to, and they're kind of, like, they're giving him shit, cause, like, he's this bumpkin hedge knight. And, like, he just says, like, you know, exasperated. He's like, I'm just asking for some help.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you know?
He's earnest, and it's, like, unexpected. Like, nobody's really earnest in this world, you know? And so, everyone's kind of taken back by how earnest he is. He's just like, I just, like, why do you have to make fun of me? Like, why, you know, he's not angry about it. He's just like, why, you know? So he's like instantly like a very lovable character. He's a little dim.
Yeah, he's a little dim.
He's not stupid, but he's a little dim. But he's like honorable. He's like everything a knight should be, but like we've never seen a knight to be in
we've never seen
world of Westeros, you know?
He's honorable, he's chivalrous, he's like all the qualities you would want in a good knight.
Yeah, but that we have never seen in this world.
He shows up at the tourney, he makes impressions on several people, one of them being Raymond Fossaway, who is the cousin of Stefan Fossaway, who is like a real asshole to his cousin, by the way, because like...
Stefan being the asshole, yeah.
Yeah, Stefan being the asshole. And the thing about like Stefan is he is a guy who is like, he's a very good fighter. He is very good, and he likes to go at people hard during training and like injure them during training, just so that
he's vicious and opportunistic.
Yeah, so when he faces them on the list, they're injured and like he can overpower them.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick. And when Duck meets him, he's training with his cousin, Raymond. Stefan won't like do that to his cousin like he does to everybody else because like he doesn't even plan on fighting his cousin in the list, so like it makes no sense.
Well, his cousin's not a knight either. So.
His cousin's not a knight. Yeah, he's a squire. Raymond is squiring for him. And Raymond and Dunk really hit it off. I think they met before this at some point. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Cause like, I think he just instantly took a liking to it. I think Raymond being around a dick all the time, just a total like A-rank dick all the time, like saw Duncan as this like big guy. He's a knight, which is what he wants to be, what Raymond wants to be. But like, he's not pretentious. He's just genuine. He's like earnest, like I said. And I just immediately is like attracted to that aspect of him. Is like, oh, this is my best buddy now. You know?
Yeah, this is my best friend. Yeah. You know, like.
It's like the scene in Step Brothers. Like, did we just become best friends? You know? Like, that's like, Raymond's energy.
Like he's like offering Dunk to join him in his tent, offering him food
which is great stuff. For Dunk because if Dunk is anything, he's hungry.
Yeah, if Dunk is hungry, should be noted along the way he meets Egg, which Dunk mistakes initially for like a tavern boy, just like go fetch my horse, you know, like that type of deal, you know, cause Egg is like at this tavern and he's wearing rags.
He's this bald kid. He says that his parents are dead, so like he thinks he's an orphan. He's like, "Are you from Flea Bottom?" Which is where he's from. Like Dunk is from. Well,
Dunk says like, "I'm taking you home," and then Egg says, "Well, you know, it's a long way from here to King's Landing. You might miss your chance to be in the list going that far." And then Dunk says, "What, you from Flea Bottom?"
Which is where he's from.
Yeah, which is where he's from. Yeah, we know who Egg is though. He is the Prince Aegon. He's a Targaryen prince. Yeah, he's Aegon. I mean, that's like where he gets his nickname, Aegon Egg.
Yeah, he's got his head shaved, which is why Dunk thinks his name's Egg because his head shaved. You know, because he's bald like an egg.
No, he's Egg because his brother Aemon nicknamed him Egg.
No, I mean, I'm saying Dunk would just assume he's named Egg because his head is shaved.
Oh, yeah,
like
Dunk would assume that, yeah.
Yeah, like that's what anybody would refer to. Anybody would go like, oh, egg, because your head shaved. Like that's what people would think, because you look like an egg. And what nobody knows, at least yet, until, later on, and like I think it's episode 3 or 4 or something, is that Egg is actually, he's a Targaryen. He's named after Aegon the Conqueror. I think he mentions at one point there have been 4 Aegons that have been king,
well,
including him because he's just a boy.
Well, yeah, anyway, he is one of Prince Maekar's sons. Prince Maekar's missing sons, by the way. There's 2 of them, Darren and Egg, we come to find out, and he's sort of in a foul mood because he's lost his kids. Mm-hmm. And Dunk doesn't even, know he has one of them.
Let's just go over the characters. So we talked about Raymond, we talked about Dunk, we talked about Egg, and Egg is like the second main character. Dunk and Egg are the main characters.
They're the main,
sometimes referred to as Dunk and Egg,
Right. And then you get into the Targaryens, which you got Prince Baelor and Prince Maekar, who are show up at this tourney with their families.
Baelor's basically like everybody's wet dream of a king.
Yeah.
Like if you just say somebody has to be your king, envision the perfect person to be your king, and Baelor's basically it.
Baelor is a good noble man. He's one of the good Targaryens.
He's smart, he's learned.
He's smart, he's learned, he's compassionate, he's measured, he's every quality you could want in a king.
Yeah.
And you see that in the way he treats Dunk, he treats Dunk with a sort of respect, even though he doesn't have to, Dunk is a nobody.
Well, everybody else is not treating him like a respect. Yeah, There's a Meister there that's just treating him like shit.
Yeah.
And then Baelor's brother, who we'll talk about now, Maekar, is also he's basically coming across like a big dick. But to understand, he's got 2 children that are missing.
Yeah, he's kind of stressed out when we meet him. So
our first impression, though, is dick.
Yeah, first impression is dick. Yeah. And again, Dunk doesn't even know, he has one of his missing sons, which is funny.
Yeah. One of Maekar's other sons, another grade A dick.
well, Prince Baelor and Maekar are basically there at the tourney because Maekar's son, Aerion, has entered the lists.
And so has Baelor's son.
Valar. Yeah, that doesn't get, mentioned much. It's mostly,
in I think in the first or second episode, they show him, and when Aaron's choosing his opponent, he goes right by Valar and says oh, don't worry, I'm not going to embarrass you today or something, and then picks somebody else.
And pick somebody else. Yeah. Yeah, so Valar and Aerion have entered the list, and that's why they're at the tourney. We see
there was another one of Maekar's sons was supposed to enter the list.
Yeah, Darren, but again, he ran off. He's a drunkard, but there's a good reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
We find out. And the whole thing is
Egg was supposed to squire for him.
Egg was supposed to squire for him, yeah. Because Egg was with Darren, and then Egg ran away, and Darren didn't want to face his father and tell his father he lost Egg, so he kind of just goes off and starts drinking.
That's why he started drinking before.
Yeah, he was before, but yeah, he doesn't go back home to say, oh, I lost Egg. He kind of hangs back, and that's why he's missing.
Yeah, he just goes on a bender once Egg's
once Egg's gone.
Yeah. So Maekar has one other son, Aemon Targaryen, who is not in the show, but he is in Game of Thrones. He is the only character that's even mentioned in the show that we see in Game of Thrones.
Yes. You gotta realize this is 100 years before Game of Thrones, so by the time you see Aemon in Game of Thrones, he is a very, very old man.
Yes.
Yes. Where he's just a child at this time.
Yeah, but so that is the Targaryens pretty much summed up there. Like we said, the major players is Egg, of course, Maekar, Baelor, and Aerion Brightflame, who is the greatest A dick of all dicks on the show.
Yes. Yeah, we see him in the list, and he fights pretty brutally. Another person Dunk meets that takes a real liking to him is Sir Lionel Baratheon,
who's immediately a star of the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he is fantastic.
He's one of the most likable characters, yeah.
He's one of the most likable characters. He's holding a party at the meadow. He's the type of guy, he loves jousting, he loves fighting. He loves fighting people and laughing when he beats them. They call him the Laughing Storm. We don't really get to see that here. That's fine. But yeah, he's great. And Dunk shows up in his tent where he's holding this grand party, and he approaches him because Dunk is looking for a lord to sponsor him, for the list. And when he approaches Lionel, Lionel, he's the Lord, so he thinks there's an angle. He thinks Dunk is either there to blackmail him or kill him.
Well, he's not even really looking to be sponsored by Lionel. He's looking just to have food.
He's at that party for food because like Raymond tells him like there's going to be food there.
Yeah,
Raymond
he probably could have if he had asked Lionel by the end of that party. Lionel probably would have sponsored him for the list.
For the list, yeah. Oh yeah, probably would have.
But Duncan is going after people that his master directly served,
right?
In hopes that they would recognize his service to them by sponsoring.
Right. Yeah, they would. Recognize that. It's funny, because Lionel is like suspicious of Dunk because he thinks like there's an angle, and then like when he realizes that Dunk is like really just there for food,
it's that earnestness, man. Yeah, like, nobody expects it, and then the second they realize, oh shit, you're actually just earnest. They like him, you know.
Yeah. Then Lionel ends up drinking and laughing with Dunk the rest of the entire night.
Even having Dunk like wear his crown of like antlers.
Yeah.
There's a really funny scene in episode 2 where they're doing like a tug of war and he recruits Dunk to help him and Egg's even helping too, but even though he's like so small and completely useless, he's literally hanging on the rope. Lionel is like, he's the part of the show that makes me sad that all the seasons are kind of self-contained.
Right. That we're not going to see him again.
Yeah. I mean, we might, he might pop up in something, probably not in season 2, but we might see him in like some other season and some scene that they add in that probably isn't even in the books or something. But he's not going to be like a big presence for a while, probably. Probably not in season 2 at all, I'm assuming.
We do know, like, narratively from the books, from what George has written, Lionel does re-enter Dunk's life, but this is not till much, much later after, like, Aegon is, like, king of the realm.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they could bring him back regardless. Because they did add stuff that wasn't in the book in this, you know? So they could feasibly go like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring Lionel back. I seriously doubt he's gonna be in season 2, like at all.
Oh, at all, yeah.
And like maybe we'll see him in some other season in like a brief scene or something. Like I could totally see like they're traveling somewhere. Like one of the books that George R. R. Martin has not yet written, but has like talked about, like he's referred to a lot, takes place in Winterfell. So you have to imagine Dunk is traveling to Dorne now, which is in the far south. He's eventually at some point going to be heading up to Winterfell, which is in the far north. At any point along those lines between those two places, he could run into Lionel again, you know?
Oh yeah. There's room. There's room to fill in the gaps, you know, like.
Yeah. Same thing with like Raymond. We're probably not going to see him either. I'm sure we're not going to see him in season 2. We could very easily see him in some other season or some scene where they're, you know, happen to travel by and they stop at his place for like the night or something.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of the only thing we can kind of hope for from some of these characters that we've really liked is that, because the only characters that are in every season or in every story because they're in every book is Dunk and Egg.
Yeah, exactly. And then Dunk goes into his tent and he meets Tansel, who is a puppeteer. She puts on puppet shows. Real elaborate puppet shows, by the way.
Yeah, that's the only dragons we get in this show.
That's the only, a puppet dragon. Dunk is instantly smitten by her.
Yeah. She also, she refers to herself as when she was a kid, she was called Too Tall.
Yeah.
And he says like, oh no, you're just perfect. And she's like, for what?
Again, Dunk has a way with words. Mm-hmm. Dunk enlists her to like do an illustration, for his shield. We see her again when she's doing a puppet show about a dragon, about knights like a dragon. Arion shows up and he's instantly offended by this. It's important to note that Arion genuinely believes he is a dragon.
Yeah.
He is the blooded dragon, but he believes he is a dragon. Like,
he's one of the crazy Targaryens.
He literally kills himself by drinking, what is it?
Wildfire.
Wildfire, yeah. He drinks wildfire because he thinks because he's a dragon, he can drink wildfire. And
that's not in the show, by the way.
No, that again, yeah, that is basically when they're grown up. You know,
He takes it very hard that dragons aren't around in his era.
Yes, he takes it very hard. So when he sees like this puppet show of this Knights Like a Dragon, he takes it very, very personally. Mm-hmm. And he attacks Tansel, you know, he's He breaks her fingers. Dunk sees the commotion. He sees what's going on, and without even thinking, he just goes at Arian. You know,
Duncan is earnest, and he sees is like, not only is it somebody he likes that's being attacked, but it's an innocent person being attacked.
Yes.
And so he takes very, like, you know, they make a lot of references to, you know, the 7 gods of Westeros, you know, the new gods. And you learn about them a lot in Game of Thrones. I don't remember all of them. I think one was called like the Stranger, one's like the Father. But the one that's referenced constantly through this series is the Mother. And because the Mother represents like kind of mercy for the small folk. It's like protecting the weak. And that's like who Dunk relates to. You know, like Dunk is like the champion of the Mother, basically. Like not officially, but like that's kind of his role, like in reality, you know, he is like the kind of guy that will stand up for people that are like being abused or bullied or something. That's like who he is as a character. So not only does he like this girl who's being attacked, but also she's an innocent being attacked by somebody more powerful that's like abusing his power. And so he immediately steps in and attacks and gets in trouble because now he's struck a prince.
Yeah. And Dunk knew what he was doing. Dunk knew what, you know, the consequences of what he was getting into. He just does it anyway.
That's proved by the fact that he tries to push Egg away, verbally push him away when Egg tries to intervene.
Again, he thinks like Egg is just a commoner. He thinks like Egg's going to get himself in similar trouble by like intervening. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't want anything to happen to Egg. And then like Egg...
He's like, you stupid boy, get out of here, you know?
And then Egg has to reveal like he's one of the missing Targaryen princes.
Yeah.
You know, like, Egg has to reveal he's Arian's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Which all Arian has to say is, you shaved your hair? Like, why? I mean, you know?
He says, because I don't want to look like you.
Because I want to look like you, yeah.
That was the reveal of who Egg actually is and stuff. I think you and I haven't read the Night of the Seven Kingdom novellas or anything, but I knew who he was before I even... That was one of the first things I heard about it, is like, oh, there's a series of novellas called Dunk and Egg that's about a knight called Dunk the Tall and Aegon Targaryen, who eventually becomes, you know, king. Or like I heard that before I heard anything else about the series. Before I knew a single other thing, I knew that.
I knew about that way before the series was announced to be a thing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, when I first heard about the novellas, the very first thing I heard was that the two characters are Dunk and Aegon Targaryen, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, I've known this for a while. I wonder how this would have hit for people who genuinely didn't know before watching this. Who, like,
I think it's pretty well telegraphed. I'd be surprised if people hadn't picked up on it.
Oh yeah, like the clues were there, like for sure. Especially like when Egg said he was from King's Landing, and then Dunk said, "Oh, you're from Flea Bottom," but like Egg never.
Yeah, he's too smart and he speaks too clearly and too well.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. There's also like when the Targaryens show up for the list, like he kind of tries to make himself scarce, you know.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be seen.
Yeah. And then there's also the clue about his brother, which is like I think it's before we ever see him. The first Targaryen that Duncan encounters is his drunken brother, Darren the Drunken, who Egg was supposed to squire for. He goes into this inn and he's drunk and he says, "I had a dream about you, like stay the fuck away from me," and he like slaps down a Targaryen coin.
Yeah.
And of course that coin is used by everybody. It's like the currency, so it's not like that.
Yeah, it's not
they focus in on it.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to like show you Targaryen. He's also got blonde hair and he talks about having a dream about somebody and being wary about them, which we know is a Targaryen thing. Yeah. So like the clues are all kind of there.
We find out Darren's cursed with the dragon dreams.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
He sees kind of like abstract visions of the future.
Yeah.
Or not like, he's not seeing like the full-on future.
Yeah,
he's
it doesn't
like
see
a very abstract version of it. Like he refers to when he saw Dunk in his dream, it was Dunk under the body of a gigantic dragon whose wings like covered the land or something. But the dragon was dead and he was alive. So it's like metaphorical dreams.
Yeah. He said he dreamed of a great dragon who died and Dunk was there like alive.
Yeah.
Like very metaphor. Like it's not like he has
as Taserface would say in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It's metaphorical.
It's not like Darren like sees the future in a way that like where he can act or react to like prevent it or anything. Darren doesn't know what's going to happen until it happens, just like anybody else. It's just that what ends up happening ends up like matching up to like the metaphorical dreams he's having.
Mm-hmm. There's another character
he realizes that after the fact.
There's another character character we briefly meet who also seems to have some kind of fortune-telling ability or something, but more specific, who tells like a very kind of haunting story about Egg's future.
Yeah.
And Egg's like, what do you mean? And like, at that point, Duncan's just has no idea who Egg is and stuff, and it's just she thinks it's all funny. He just thinks it's funny games.
He has like also because she has kinder words for Duncan, because she tells Duncan he's going to like be a very successful knight.
Yeah, he's going to be like rich as a Lannister and stuff like that.
Lannister, yeah.
And then she goes to Egg, and it's all like, you're going to die, and everybody will celebrate your death.
Well, she says like you're going to be king, and then you're going to die in a fire, and everybody's going to celebrate.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Like
he's like, what the fuck?
very, very mean shit to say to an 11-year-old. Holy shit.
Yeah, he's kind of like really taken aback by it, and Duncan's just like, you're like, ha ha ha, yeah.
Oh yeah, Duncan's laughing because he doesn't believe. He thinks this is a carny, He's like, they're at like a fucking festival. These people are like, always like fortune tellers and shit are always around. So Duncan doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah. We should talk about, we talked about the fact that the story leads to a big 7-on-7 battle.
Yeah.
So we should talk about the knights that Duncan is able to enlist.
Yeah, because like after he attacks Arian, like he is arrested, and his only way out is like Arian requests a trial of the 7. Typically, it's a trial by combat. It's a 1-by-1 where they choose their champions, but Aaron insists on this really like old variant of it that
archaic
that like has not been used in like centuries, to the point where Arian's father Makar is kind of like pissed off at him for like even suggesting it.
Even he's like, what the fuck is a trial by 7?
Yeah.
He's a Targaryen prince, and he's like, what the fuck is a trial by 7? Of course Baelor knows.
Of course Baelor knows.
Yeah.
They're going on about it, and the catch is Dunk has to find 7 people, or 6 people who will fight alongside him. He has to find 6 people, and it has to be 6 people. It can't be one less. It can't be one more.
Yeah. If he doesn't get the 6 people, he forfeits, and
he's killed. And he dies. Yeah. And I think this is kind of what Arian is banking on to begin with, because this Dunk person is nobody. How's he going to find 6 knights to help him? I think that's what Arian's like banking on. Arian, being a prince, obviously has no trouble getting people. But he's counting on Dunk having like a hard time.
So let me break down like one by one who Dunk ends up getting.
Yes.
So first thing first, he meets up with his friend Raymond Fossaway, who is not a knight, so he cannot help him. But he takes him to his cousin. Yeah, Stefan Fossaway, for like after being like such a dick in everything we'd seen before, all of a sudden it's like we start to like Stefan because he's like, I will stand for you. I will not let you die in this unjust way.
Well, Stefan like goes off on the Targaryens. He shows like he expresses a deep-seated hatred of the Targaryens.
Yeah, that was shown by Raymond earlier too, when Raymond referred to them as like incestual aliens,
Yeah, Raymond hates the Targaryens, and it turns Stefan does too. And like Stefan isn't doing this so much for Dunk as like he's doing this to like get back at the Targaryens.
But he also like plays up the nobility of it. He's like, you were just helping the innocent, and that's what a knight should be. And it's like, whoa, this is a very big turn for your character from what we expected. Right. But it's like, oh, that's cool. You're actually like a good guy, aren't you? And so he says he's going to go and find other men for Dunk. Egg says the same thing. Because at this point, like, Egg and Dunk are kind of fighting because Dunk feels betrayed by the fact that Aegon is Aegon Targaryen and didn't tell him and stuff. And, it's like, so he's like, feels like he's being used, but Dunk's like, or Egg's like, I'll go and get you men. I can get you men to help. And I think Dunk's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, doesn't really take him seriously. He shows up on the day of the list, or on the day of the trial, and outside there's a bunch of knights waiting for him. And among them, of course, Lionel the Laughing Storm Baratheon, who was obviously gonna show up the second he heard, like, Dunk was gonna be involved in this. Even outside of the fact that he likes Duncan, this is just like his jam.
Yeah, this is his jam. This is fun for him. Like, Lionel hears there's going to be a trial of the 7, something that hasn't been done in centuries, this big battle, and he wants to be a part of it.
And he just, like, I imagine if he was in modern day vernacular, he would just say, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He did not take much convincing for this.
Then we got the two Humphreys, Sir Humphrey Beesbury and Sir Humphrey Harding. I think they're cousins, even though they have the same first name and not the same last name. I think it was referred to them as being cousins or something. And they both have the same name, Humphrey, and they get involved less because of Dunk and more because of Arion.
Yeah.
Because one of the Humphreys was severely wounded and his horse killed by Arion just being a total fucking asshole.
Oh yeah, in the list, yeah, because Arion in the list, he fights pretty savagely and brutally and underhandedly.
Yeah, he kills the horse, and the horse then falls on top of Humphrey and injures him. His like legs all messed up, so he can enter the fight, but only as long as he's on horse. Basically, he like can't do anything off of horse because his legs are all messed up.
Right.
And so both of the Humphreys are like, yeah, we're in this because fuck that guy. So they're in that for them. They both end up, they're like the two people that die in the tournament or in the trial, like directly. Which was weird because when it happened, they mentioned new characters dying and I'm like, wait, who? Like, I had to like look it up afterwards, like who the fuck died, you know? But then there's also Sir Robin Riesling, who we met earlier in the show. Well, at least Egg met him. Egg encountered him when Egg was trying to train Dunk's horses for the list, like before the Trial of the Seven stuff was going on. He was like, he got up early while Dunk was still sleeping and was like trying to train the horses to, you know, be good to be helpful for Dunk in the tournament and stuff. And as he's doing that, he encounters this crazy knight with one eye, and the knight's like, did you steal that horse? Like, he's all, if you tell me the truth, I won't be too unfair to you or something, you know? And Egg gets away from him and everything, but he ends up enlisting too, and he's just crazy. He's like, you know, sometimes the gods favor not the kings or whatever, and so that's why he's in it. He's just kind of following the voices in his head, which he attributes to the gods. And then we get the big betrayal on the day of the list because, you know, now that means that Dunk has 3 knights that have joined him, and now he's waiting for, or 4 knights who have joined him, and now he's like, oh, and I got my 5th with Stefan, and Stefan's supposed to bring some more people, so all he needs is 1 more. So Stefan, if he only brings 1 other person, they got everybody they need. And Stefan shows up and he's like, oh, Stefan, where's the people? We only need 2 more. And he's we only need 1 more. And he said, well, no, actually you need 2 more.
Yeah, he announces to Dunk that he's joined Arion. Mm-hmm. You know, after that big rant about how awful the Targaryens were, apparently like he reveals Arion offered him a lordship, you know, offered him land, and he's going to take that offer.
This creates a rift between him and his cousin Raymond, who like immediately is like, you sold your fucking honor.
Yeah.
And
you sold out to the Targaryens. Raymond is pissed off because like Raymond is like, okay, well, you sold your honor. You sold out to the Targaryens. The Targaryens are scum. Like, why would you do that? To the point where Raymond changes the sigil of his house to like a green apple instead of like the red apple fossways. Like he changes the house sigil on his like shield and stuff because he doesn't want to be associated with his cousin anymore.
Yeah. And Raymond, of course, at this point, in the world of, you know, A Song of Ice and Fire in Westeros, any knight can knight another knight.
Yeah.
And so Raymond's like, you know, Dunk's like, oh, I need 2 more people. How am I going to do this? And Raymond says, knight me. I'll fight with you.
Knight me. Yeah, I'll fight with you. And Dunk tries, but he struggles to do it. And then Lionel like steps in and Lionel knights Raymond.
Yeah. Which would be cooler to be knighted by Lionel anyways, I think. At least at this point in the story. Dunk ends up becoming like a huge important figure, but at this point in the story, it would be much cooler to be knighted by Lionel Baratheon.
But even after Raymond is knighted, that still leaves Dunk down 1 more person, and nobody there is actively recruiting for Dunk anymore. So Dunk
goes out and makes
desperation, makes a plea to the crowd. If anybody in the crowd can just stand up for him and join him. And then we see one guy stand up. We see the hope rise in Dunk's face, and then the guy like lets out a loud fart and like laughs and kind of dashes all of Dunk's hopes right there.
And then he's really let down, but then Dunk is just like, are any of you true knights? You know, like he starts to really like cut at the matter.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the impossible happens. The gates open. A masked knighted figure approaches him in Targaryen armor, nonetheless.
Targaryen armor. And so it's like he's gonna join him. It's Prince Baelor.
Yeah, the hand of the king himself. Next in line for the throne.
The last person you would expect to join Dunk to fight against his nephew.
And just another reason why he's like the perfect king.
Yes.
Although the show does make a good point, because spoiler alert, we're not breaking down every bit of the story piece by by piece. We're not recapping it. Spoiler alert, Baylor dies. He gets his head caved in. It's a really sad scene.
It's even worse because Baylor gets his head caved in, but he gets his head caved in by his brother Makar.
Yeah, and it's even worse than that because he doesn't die immediately. He like walks off, and the helmet's basically keeping his brain together.
Yeah, his helmet's basically keeping him alive at that point, and as soon as he takes it off, he falls down dead.
Yeah, and his head's all caved in. It's really fucked up, and it was such a what the fuck moment. Like when he turned around, we could see the shock on people's faces. Then he turned around and you see the whole back of his head's caved in. It was such a oh fuck no moment.
That was Darren's dream. That was the great dragon who died.
Yeah, a dragon greater than any other, as he said, or something.
Yeah,
which is again just playing with the idea. He's the perfect king, and now he's dead. And he was next in line, and now he's dead. So this little adventure between these two characters that's outside of all of the noble stuff somehow has this massive ramifications.
Yeah, changed history.
Yeah,
changed the history of Westeros.
But yeah, so
we don't know what kind of king Baylor would have been. A good one, presumably.
The last episode is just kind of typical Game of Thrones, where all the big stuff happens in the penultimate episode, and the last episode is just kind of wrapping things up.
Yeah, last episode's wrapping things up. Last episode is Makar recognizes that Egg wants to squire for Dunk, and he offers Dunk residency
in Summerhall.
Yeah, offers Dunk residency in Summerhall, and offers Dunk proper night training.
Yeah, by the Targaryen's trainers, he'd be training with the princes and stuff,
He'd be training with the princes, yeah. Offers him a pretty sweet deal, but Dunk doesn't want to hang around Summerhall, so he declines,
Well, he doesn't. He says he's done with princes entirely.
Yeah.
But his mind is changed by another least likely option, which is Prince Darren the Drunkard approaches him and basically convinces him by saying even Aaron wasn't always a bastard.
Right.
He was a good, sweet kid that loved fishing, And now he's just this monster and this horrible person. And the lesson he's giving to Duncan, the information he's imparting, is take Egg, train him away from all of this, let him come to his own without being, in all the machinations of the royals and how that warps people.
Right, yeah.
And Dunk brings that back to Makar as a suggestion, saying, I will take Egg as my squire, but not at Summerhall. He'll be a hedge knight. I'll continue to be a hedge knight, and he'll be my squire, sleeping under trees with me on the road.
Yep, and Makar is he's not having any of that. He's
Makar's fuck that.
Egg's not gonna sleep under a tree like some commoner.
Yeah, he's prince,
yeah, exactly. And it's kind of left at that, and Doug's preparing to leave after he said his goodbyes and stuff. There's a great scene with Lionel and Dunk at the beginning of the episode, where Dunk's all beat up and Lionel's asking Dunk to run away with him to Storm's End. Lionel wants Dunk to go to Storm's End with him.
He's like, you'll have fun, I'll take care of you, you'll always be fed,
He says, if you do, I'll love you like a brother.
Yeah.
And if you refuse, I'll hate you like a brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is right after, Baylor died and stuff, so Duncan feels responsible for Baylor's death. He kind of hates himself.
And Lionel's fuck Baylor.
Yeah. He's
I fought for you.
Yeah, because he's that's an interesting point I was going to bring up, is that, and it's first brought up by Robin Reisling, the one-eyed crazy knight. When Baylor's talking strategy before the fight, Baylor says, I'll take care of the Kingsguard. They're not allowed to attack me as a prince. And Robin's oh, so that's real honorable, isn't it? There's kind of something that plays into the fact that, as great of a king as Baylor is, he really did do something very dishonorable by doing that. And that if the gods in this world are real, which through Game of Thrones it implies they kind of are.
We don't know if the gods are real. It's never confirmed. We know magic's real, but the existence of magic doesn't mean the existence of gods.
We know the old gods are real because they're the weirwood trees, and we know that they have magic. But we don't know about the new god stuff. But there's there's implications that they're probably real or something, like throughout the series at various points. And there's a thing you could play into here and say, like, Baylor died because he was dishonorable.
Right.
By doing that. Even though his intentions were honorable, he did something dishonorable. And he even said, after Robin called him out on it, he even said, well, let the gods decide.
Yeah.
And then he ended up dying, and Lionel brings this up again. When he says, like, that, you know, he's all, fuck Baylor, I fought for you. He says, Baylor fought against the Kingsguard that were not allowed to fight him, you know? Like,
yeah.
He gave, like, he risked very little.
I genuinely stuck my neck out for you.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
like,
yeah. Everybody else really stuck their neck out for you. He's all, the Humphreys died. Your friend Raymond wasn't even a knight and fought for you, you know? He's on, I fought for you. And like, that's like a good point they make. Also, as they're leaving, we didn't mention it, but Duncan has 3 horses. Sweetfoot, Thunder, and Chestnut. Thunder's like his war horse. Sweetfoot is kind of like his show horse, and Chestnut's like his luggage horse, I guess, or something. I don't know the exact uses. But he has to give up Sweetfoot in order to pay for his armor with the intent that he's going to buy the horse back. He can't do that. He survives the trial of 7, but he doesn't get any money for that, you know? But Raymond purchases the horse and brings it back to him and says, I got your horse back for you. And Dunk ends up giving the horse to Raymond. He's all, actually, I think Sweetfoot would probably do better in your apple orchards, you know? Like, that's kind of the ideal place for that horse, you know, or to have a better life. And it's a gift to you as well because you were so kind to me. And so he takes that, and now he's left with Thunder and Chestnut, and Egg joins him and says, my father said I should go with you and serve you as your squire. And Dunk's like, okay then, cool, let's go. They head off. They do like the whole Fast and Furious thing where they have like, you know, Sir Arlen is riding next to them and then departs to the side.
Yeah.
It's a figurative or metaphorical example of him being there when he's not really there, you know, and saying like, oh, and now he's departing for the afterlife as they continue on their journey or something. And that's how the show ends, except we get like a little post-credit scene where I find out that Egg just lied to Dunk about his dad telling him to serve.
Which, by the way, that is a deviation from the novels. Because in the novels, Egg's with Dunk with the full approval of his father. In fact, his father gives Egg a token or a sigil or something that Egg could use to aid him through his travels. So Egg having run away without, like, Maekar knowing is, like, that's a deviation from the stories.
Yeah, but it's going to allow them to kind of tie old characters back into, like, new stories, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But yeah, so that's the end of the season. And like we said, this is very different from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon in that each season of this show is going to be like a self-contained adventure. Whereas, like, Game of Thrones is like an ongoing from, like, episode 1 to the finale, you know? It's like an ongoing story. This is like these separate little adventures. It's kind of like, I don't know, like Reacher, if you've seen that show. Like, each book he arrives in town and has an adventure in that town, and then he leaves town, and then he arrives in another town and has adventures, and then he leaves that town. That's what this series is. It's Egg and Dunk. They arrive in a town, they have an adventure, then they depart the town, and then the next adventure is another town. So that's A Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1. Season 2's already kind of being worked on. They just cast some people for it. We're not going to go over that because they're not really like big name actors or anything or characters that we deeply recognize. So, but they've already started casting some of the characters for Season 2. So that's going to be going into production soon. But yeah, that's A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, a perfect palate cleanser for all the machinations, all the royal machinations in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons. And I'm so excited to have it, and I'm looking forward to it coming back. It was the best Game of Thrones thing in a long time. Probably since like Season 4 of Game of Thrones for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, exciting stuff. Excited to look forward to that. Now I'm excited for House of the Dragon coming later this year even. It's refreshed my palate on that, so that's cool. But that's it. That's Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And that's it for our full spoiler segment. Next week, we are going to be talking about Predator Badlands. This is the movie that came out last year. But yeah, it's out on streaming. So yeah, we're going to be talking about Predator Badlands next week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow me on Twitter on Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. Will is at Voxel Hero on those platforms. You can check out our website, thetotallscreen.blogspot.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes and scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the relevant links to our SoundCloud page, our RSS feed, all that stuff. It's all there. You can also subscribe to this podcast through your favorite podcast client of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of our podcast, as well as additional content, including the entire 300 episode run of our old podcast and a bunch of other stuff is on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out as well. Until next week, thank you everybody for listening. Good night. Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotoscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.